Good evening, students, families. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you on Zoom and for those of you on Facebook Live, thank you again for being here this evening. Today, we are going to talk about the various military academy opportunities that exist for our students. And so we just want to let you know, those of you who are on Facebook Live, you will be able to ask any questions in the comment section. For those of you joining us via Zoom, you will be able to ask questions via the Q&A. So again, thank you for being here. For families who are looking for this to be in Spanish, we will have this recorded in Spanish and have it captioned. So we will have this available to you as well. So again, thank you for being here this evening. My name is Jose Cardenas. I'm a school counselor program specialist here in Stockton Unified. And just want to introduce some of our panelists that are here with us today.
Hello, everybody. I am Second Lieutenant Jerry Severn, and I am the admission advisor for the United States Air Force Academy here in Northern California. You might be wondering what an admission advisor is. My job is to simply provide you information about the Air Force Academy. So when that time comes for you to make that decision of what you want to do next, you have this information in your back pocket to rely on.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Junior Grade Emily Torsney. I am an admissions officer at the Coast Guard Academy. I will preface, I'm the Northeast Admissions Officer, so a completely different region from all of you out on the sunny West Coast. However, I'm one of 5 regional admissions officers here, and we have great resources for you through our office at the Coast Guard Academy, and we're just excited to get to connect and teach you all there is to know.
And for those of you, if you're aware, there are 5 different academy opportunities, military academies. And so today we have a couple of representatives to talk about these opportunities that exist. And so again, thank you for joining us via Zoom. And for those of you on Facebook Live, if you're on Zoom, you will be able to ask questions on the Q&A. And for those of you on Facebook Live, you can go ahead and ask questions in the comment section. So we just want to talk briefly about our school counselors here in our district. Our school counselors here in our district are working at having multi-tiered, multi-domain systems of supports to make sure that all of our students have various opportunities for college and career. And the military academy opportunities is one opportunity that we really want to highlight because it's an opportunity that a lot of our students do not take advantage of. And so we really want our students to know more. We want our families to know more so they can have more opportunities for their future careers. So with that said, we do have a mission here in Stockton Unified. We want our students to be college and career, and part of that is for our students to do their financial aid applications. Even though here in California, the financial aid application deadline passed for March 2nd, there's still an opportunity to apply for financial aid all the way up till June. So we want our students to apply for financial aid to get as many opportunities as possible. We really want them to have other resources beyond high school. So with that said, we're going to move on to our military academy opportunities. In October, there is a virtual information session that occurred from our Congressman McNerney that's local here in Stockton. He holds a information session every single year in October and lets students know what is the process to get into the military academy, And just briefly, in order to get into the military academy, you do have to have nominations, either through your congressional nomination, which could be local, which there's one in our specific area. You can get congressional nominations from your state senators, which you can get 2 here in California, or you can get a vice presidential nomination, which is done online, or you can get a presidential nomination, which is for military families. And so if you want to learn more about this process, you can go ahead and click here on this informational session. And there's a full hour and a half of how to go through this process. But we do want to tell you a little bit more about just what do the academies look for? And from a school counselor perspective, working with students who have applied and also talking to our academies, they're really looking for students. Number one, it's really their character. Right? What type of person are they? What kind of leader can they be? And they also look for academics. They're looking for their GPA, their SAT and ACT scores. They want to get the best of the best. They also look for students who are in, in athletics. And, there are students who maybe not as athletic, but they are into the performing arts. So they are looking for students who are performing at that varsity level or performing in the performing arts. They're looking for students who are doing extracurricular activities that are involved, not just in clubs, but doing community service. They're out in the community serving. And then again, another aspect to this is doing those congressional nominations. Students do have to do a candidate fitness assessment, and the various academies will talk a little bit more in depth about it, but they want students to be physically fit. And there are parameters regarding what that assessment looks like. And they also look for students to get those letters of recommendation, right? They want letters of recommendations from their English, their math, their science teachers, and even an athletic director. And they look for students who possibly even attend some of their summer programs. And this is usually in the summer of 11th grade. So just some quick tips. And I know that our representatives will talk a little bit more about these tips, but students really need to complete their application process as early as possible. This is generally done beginning in junior year. You can't wait till the last minute. These are pretty extensive applications. They're not like typical college applications. And so it is an application that should be completed as early as possible. Letters of recommendations need to be asked early. A lot of students wait till the last minute, the day before the deadline for a letter of recommendation. Students need to ask in advance because their teachers, their school counselors are pretty busy people. And these are very important recommendations to obtain. You should get in touch with your teachers and your school counselors early. You want people to talk about your character. You want people who really know you. You just don't want to ask somebody for a letter of recommendation that maybe you've met only once, or they can't really speak to the type of student that you are, the type of person that you are. You want to build a resume. Helping build a resume will help you list all of your awards, your academic achievements, work experience, community service. We do have a link here on how to build a resume. A resume is important not only for the academies, but also for any other type of college applications that you may move forward with. You can apply for ROTC programs, which are Reserve Officer Training Corps. It's another opportunity for students. And again, we could talk a little bit more about that. And then make sure that you connect with your high school and your academy counselors. Those are the people that are going to help you through this process because it is very extensive. It is very detailed. It's really important to connect with your high school counselors. They can also follow up and ask more questions for you. And then your academy counselors, maybe you're applying to the Naval Academy, but you're working with the Air Force Academy counselor. They can help you with your academy applications. And last but not least, practice your interviews. When you do the academies, they will have an interview. They'll ask you, why do you want to attend? And you can give them the typical answer, but they really want to know why you would want to attend a Naval Academy. What are you, something that's pretty creative about you, something that's different, something that helps you stand out. So it helps to practice your interviews. And the last part that I just want to say as far as high school timelines, what are things that you could be doing in high school? So some of the things that you could be doing in high school in 9th grade is definitely getting the highest grades possible, practicing for your SATs and ACTs, joining clubs, attending those informational meetings to learn more about the process. In 10th grade is when you really start to take those AP courses, when you can maybe you need to take an SAT prep or ACT prep to improve your scores. Most sophomores take a PSAT in order to start practicing for that real SAT. And this is a year where you get involved in clubs and you start to do some of that community service. 11th grade is probably the toughest year. It's the toughest year because it's where you take your toughest classes, you take your AP courses, but it's also a tough year because this is where you really start to do that. You start this application process. You can start applying for summer programs. You can start becoming an officer of a club. You could be a captain of a sport. You start asking for those letters of recommendation. And this is the part where you also reach out to your congressman for those congressional nominations, for your senator and your vice president nominations, where you look at websites to see what the academies require. And then where you can even start practicing for that physical assessment. So the 11th grade year has a lot entailed into it. And last but not least, in 12th grade, when you apply, you want to make sure you apply early. The applications can be completed between August and January. And I know just from speaking to a lot of academy representatives, they like their students to apply as early as possible because it is such an extensive process. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and just show this brief timeline that if you get an opportunity to look at, it'll walk you through the different timelines, the different opportunities that'll come your way, really looking into your junior year and looking into your senior year when the applications have to be submitted. So you can see that it's broken down by month, it's broken down by different area that you need to complete, but also it's broken down by junior and senior year. And so this is an opportunity for you as parents, as students, to see what's coming your way. And these workshops are for our younger students. So we want our younger students to know about this process early on. So when that junior and senior year comes around, they know what to expect. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lieutenant Severn from the Air Force Academy.
All right, thank you for that. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Share. Can you still see the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everybody. I am Second Lieutenant Jerry Severn from the United States Air Force Academy. Just a little bit of information about myself. I recently graduated from the Academy in April of 2020, spent the past 5 years there, had an awesome experience, got to study history, travel the world, made my closest friends, and following this assignment as your admissions advisor, I'll be going off to pilot training. So if you have any questions about what that process is like about, applying for a pilot slot, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that as well. Now, one thing you're going to realize tonight is with all the service academies, there's a lot of similarity between the 5 of us. We all offer amazing world-class academics at no cost to you. We all have a robust physical training program, and you are going to have amazing opportunities to grow and expand your leadership skills by leading your peers. So with those 3 pillars very similar between the 5 of us, it begs the question, well, what makes you different? And that's what I really want to target tonight, is what makes the Air Force Academy unique. And I'll begin first with our travel opportunities for our cadets. Every cadet at the Air Force Academy is going to get to travel throughout their time as a cadet. It only depends on what programs they decide to do. So for example, if you ever decided that you want to do a semester abroad in a foreign country such as Spain, Germany, Morocco, Singapore, Japan, the Air Force Academy has amazing opportunities for our cadets to go to foreign service academies and integrate with their schools and learn with their cadets. So that's an awesome opportunity there. If you want to travel, but you're like, I really don't want to spend a whole semester in a foreign country. I only want to do like a shorter trip, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. The Air Force Academy also has an amazing opportunity in that. It's known as our language and cultural immersion trips. These trips are designed to take cadets and take them to a different part of the world for 2 to 3 weeks. And your whole job during those 2 to 3 weeks is to learn the language and the culture. A good friend of mine got to go to Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam for a summer, and she had an amazing time. If you want to do a service academy or ROTC exchange, the Air Force Academy has those programs as well. So if you want to go, what are our counterparts doing at Coast Guard or Annapolis or West Point or Merchant Marine, you can do a semester there. Or if you want to go to a civilian institution for a semester and say, what does it feel like to be an ROTC student at a civilian school? What are their challenges that we necessarily don't have to overcome at the academy? You can have that experience as well. If you are big into academics or you desire to do an internship, the Academy has known what is our summer research program. The Academy has partners across the nation where we send our cadets to do internships with America's largest organizations and companies. These companies and organizations include the National Security Agency, the Central Intelligence Agency, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Microsoft, just to name a few. My best friend, she actually got to do biomedical research with nanotechnology in New Mexico for 9 weeks. So if you would desire to do an internship and want to grow your academic horizons that way, we have that program. And one mandatory trip that every cadet takes is known as Ops Air Force. When you graduate from a service academy, you are going to serve in some capacity for a minimum of 5 years. Now, for the Air Force Academy, we recognize, you are going to be an Air Force officer in the Air or Space Force. So we want to expose you to those different careers. So that way, when the time comes to say, hey, what jobs do you want to do? You have that knowledge in your back pocket to say, I was really interested in this job or interested in another job. So for Ops Air Force, we'll send you to an operational base somewhere around the world, and you will follow pilots, doctors, lawyers, intelligence officers, logistics officers, security forces. You are going to learn what every officer does in the Air Force that helps a base run. So that way you have that experience to say, you know, I really want to be a pilot. I enjoy my Ops Air Force experience, or I thought I wanted to be a security forces officer, or I thought I want to be an intelligence officer, and seeing what they did, not really what I wanted to do, but I was really interested in this other job I didn't even know existed. Awesome opportunities there. Not only are you going to get to expand your horizons nationally and internationally as a cadet, but we're also going to do it at the Air Force Academy. The mission of the Air Force is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace. So our cadets get exposure in air, space, and cyberspace. We'll go ahead and start with cyberspace first. If you are really into cyber and you want to be part of that growing career field, and you want to learn how to either build the next great firewall or break into other, computers, we have the awesome programs where you can learn those skills. And we've actually won at the national level with the National Security Agency. If space is something you're interested in, and you're like, I really want to get into space, we do have the newly commissioned Space Force, which we'll talk about later, but we also give our cadets opportunities to work around space equipment. So at the Air Force Academy, cadets not only build a satellite, but we also operate it. So right now, as we're having this conversation, there is a satellite in orbit gathering data being flown by a cadet at the Air Force Academy. And finally, our airmanship programs. So we'll start from the bottom left. If you want to get into RPAs or drones, that growing career field, we have an awesome opportunity where you will get to learn to fly a wide variety of different drones. On the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is our glider program. Every cadet gets 5 flights in that glider. But what you don't know is in the front seat is a cadet learning how to fly that glider, but in the back seat is a cadet 2 to 3 years senior teaching that cadet in the front seat how to fly. Your whole time at the academy can not only be a student, but learning to be a glider pilot. If you have your private pilot's license, you could try out for our flying team. They are nationally ranked, and all you do is show up to the airfield, jump in the plane, and fly. And for my adrenaline junkies in the room, if you've ever wanted to do skydiving, the Air Force Academy has an amazing program for you. It is known as our free fall program. It is the only free fall program in the world where your first jump out of a plane is completely by yourself. You will show up on Monday knowing nothing about free fall, and by Friday of that same week, we are going to put a 45-pound parachute on your back, put you 12,000 feet in the air, and you are going to jump into the wild blue yonder with the knowledge and know-how how to save your own life. And don't worry, this program is completely optional. So if that just intimidated you, you don't have to do it if that's something you don't want to do. But if that's something you fell in love with, you can try out for our parachute team. They're known as the Wings of Blue. They are the Air Force's demonstration parachute team. And I've had friends on the team who got to go to South Korea and perform at air shows, jumped into Denver Bronco games, MLB games, NCAA bowl games. So awesome opportunities for cadets to learn and experience airmanship. And another thing that separates us apart from our sister service academies is where we are located. We are located in beautiful Colorado Springs, Colorado. If you've never been to Colorado, I highly recommend you come, because there is something for everybody there. If you prefer a big city nightlife, Denver is only an hour away. If you prefer a smaller city vibe, downtown Colorado Springs is only 30 minutes away. And we are nestled right against the Rocky Mountains. So if you're into outdoor activities such as mountain biking, hunting, fishing, camping, the Rocky Mountains are calling you. And during the winter, you have world-class skiing and snowboarding only 2 hours away from you. So there is something for everybody in Colorado to express their interest or learn a new hobby. And after 4 years at being at the Air Force Academy, you're probably going to have the greatest graduation, and the fact that you're going to graduate with 1,000 of your closest friends, and 6 F-16s from the Air Force Thunderbirds are going to roar overhead, signifying your graduation and commission as an officer in the Air and Space Force. Now let's go ahead and talk about those career opportunities when you graduate. Like I said, you are going to serve a minimum of 5 years in the Air or Space Force, and this can last longer. So the way this screen works is the career fields you see on the right meet that minimum 5-year requirement, but you just need to have a specific degree. If you want to be a civil engineer in the Air Force, a physicist, a chemist, an electrical engineer, you just need to have that degree to have that opportunity presented to you. The career fields in the middle meet that 5-year requirement, but you do not need to have a specific degree. So if you want to be an intelligence officer, a logistics officer, public affairs, you do not need to study a specific degree at the academy. And the career fields on the left, those incur a longer service commitment because the Air Force is going to invest more money into you. So like I said, I'm going off to pilot training, and if I graduate and earn my wings, I owe the Air Force a minimum of 10 years before I can decide to get out. Now, if you have ambitions of being a lawyer, going to dental school, or going to law or med school, the Air Force has opportunities for the Air Force to pay for those higher levels of schooling, but you are going to owe more time back. And it depends on what program you pick up, and that will determine how much time you owe the Air Force as a doctor, lawyer, or a dentist. All right, and the newly commissioned Space Force. These are the current jobs you can do as an officer in the Space Force. You can be an acquisitions officer, which means you buy equipment for the Space Force, engineering, working on those satellites, space operator, flying the satellites, cyberspace, responsible for the link between the ground and the satellite, or a Space Force intelligence officer, responsible for analyzing the intelligence those satellites pull. So if anything I talked about interests you, you're going to see world-class academics, amazing physical training programs, and opportunities to lead your peers regardless of what service academy you're interested in. But concerning the Air Force Academy, these are just some of the unique opportunities you're only going to find with us. So if that interests you, Academy Admissions is now your best friend. From there, you will find more information on the Academy, as well as the links to begin your application if you are currently a junior or higher. And just a quick snapshot of how competitive the Academy is. Last year, we had 10,687 applicants, and that got whittled down to 1,145 being offered an appointment. This means we have an acceptance rate of anywhere between 9 to 11%. One thing I always encourage my mentees as future applicants is you cannot compete unless you complete. So if you complete 99% of your application and fail to submit one form, we will not look at your application. So do not tell yourself no, complete the application, and then let the Air Force Academy make that decision. But whatever you do, do not tell yourself no. I encourage you to go out and try. And with that, I conclude my presentation. I look forward to answering any questions you have during the Q&A.
Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. And so at the end, we'll definitely get into the Q&A because there's a lot of questions I know that sparked for me, and I'm sure for our families and our students. What a great opportunity, the Air Force Academy. Now we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our Lieutenant Torsney.
Thank you so much. I also have some slides I get to share with you all today. So we'll go ahead and attempt at sharing my screen. So can we see slides yet, or? Sure.
No, ma'am.
Not yet.
No worries. There we go. All righty, fantastic. How about now?
Yes.
Wonderful.
I don't know if you want it in presentation. Oh, there it is.
There we go. All righty. So hopefully you can all see my screen. I can only see my screen. So I am looking right now at the gorgeous United States Coast Guard Academy located here in New London, Connecticut. And I say here because I'm in Connecticut, but y'all are on the West Coast. So quite a ways away. However, fabulous location. We are nestled in between New York City, Hartford, Connecticut, and Boston, Massachusetts. So quintessential New England, all right along the East Coast. And we're located on the Thames River. So you have a wonderful waterfront view. We are a seagoing service, hence our beautiful waterfront there. And it's 103 acres in size. So the Coast Guard Academy is the smallest of the service academies. And we do have a handful of differences from the other service academies that I do like to note. However, as mentioned previously, all the service academies, you being here shows your commitment to your country and your interest in serving your country. So we applaud that. And, we honor and we cherish those actions in terms of looking to considering to apply. So moving forward, a little bit about myself. Lieutenant Junior Grade Emily Torsey. I am the Northeast Admissions Officer, so I understand I'm not your admissions officer. However, there's 5 of us in the office, and we are fabulous resources for anyone who's looking to learn more about the Academy or the Coast Guard. I did not attend the Coast Guard Academy, though, so y'all are a lot smarter than I am. You're in a way better position than I am by being here and learning about the academies tonight. I attended the University of Vermont, where I received my Bachelor of Science. And, upon kind of graduation, I remember sitting down with my dad, and I was like, a lot of my friends are having a hard time getting a job and, or going to, get their master's degree. It costs a lot of money. They're going into student debt. I don't want to end up like that. What do you think I should do? And I remember my dad going, did you ever think about serving? And I didn't. I honestly had no idea about really any of the military services. And I found my way to the Coast Guard. And I'll talk about why the Coast Guard in a little bit. But so luckily we have Officer Candidate School, as do a number of the, a lot of the other services have officer training programs. So I commissioned through Officer Candidate School, which is another military option for you. This was a program that required a bachelor's degree for civilians. Just like the Academy commissions 50% of the officer corps, Officer Candidate School and a couple of our other commissioning programs kind of fill in that remainder of our officer corps. So graduated from OCS after I graduated from UVM. And then I went to serve on the Coast Guard Cutter Oak. She's a 225-foot buoy tender located in Newport, Rhode Island, and she's responsible for aids to navigation. So the marine transportation system is crucial in making sure that you get everything from, your coffee to your food to your toilet paper during the pandemic. We're kind of there to make sure that everyone can navigate safely across the waterways. So that's what a buoy tender does. However, the Coast Guard has a lot of other assets I'll talk about. But while on board Oak, I was there for a little under 2 years. I was a deck watch officer, so I got to con or drive Oak. So I was responsible for myself and the 44 other shipmates on board. And Oak, because she maintained buoys, which are, markers right in the middle of the waterways, I was about 100 yards or less from shoal water. And shoal water is 16 feet or less in depth. So very, very shallow water with a 225-foot ship. It was invigorating, to say the least. And I was thrown into it right away. I had no previous navigation skills other than what I had been taught at OCS, and same for you, other than what you're going to learn at the Academy. So I think something that stands out about the Coast Guard is you receive responsibility at extremely young age. For instance, you can be commanding your own ship as early as your second year. So 2 years in to your time in the Coast Guard, you can be the commanding officer of a ship, of a patrol boat. So pretty invigorating stuff. After my 2 years on Oak, I then reported this past summer to be an admissions officer here at the Academy to speak with fabulous individuals such as yourself. So Coast Guard's a little bit different than the other service academies. We fall under the Department of Homeland Security instead of the Department of Defense. What does that mean? It means we have a humanitarian mission that we focus on. We follow 11 statutory missions underneath that humanitarian mission. So once again, we're there to kind of save lives, protect, prevent, and come in for the aftermath. So I know a lot of people, when I was talking about the Coast Guard to my friends and family, they were like, oh my gosh, you jump out of helicopters and save people in the water, don't you? And I'm like, well, I don't, but people I know do. And they're like, okay, cool. But you go and you run down drug runners, right? And you do migrant and drug interdiction and fisheries boardings and all that cool law enforcement stuff, right? And I go, I didn't, but my husband does. And so a lot of fun different things that we're involved in for such a small service. To give you an idea of the size of the Coast Guard is we're the equivalent to the NYPD, believe it or not. So we're about between 35 and 45,000 in total. But we have, like I said, 11 statutory missions that we're covering here, and everything from search and rescue to drug interdiction I was talking about. We also do living marine resources. We're protecting our environment. We're protecting our coast. We're surveying ice operations. We're doing scientific studies. We're tracking icebergs to prevent things like, it sounds crazy, but to prevent things like Titanic from happening. We do all of these things. So, but I started off with the Coast Guard, and the reason I did was so you have an understanding of what you're getting into by coming to the Academy. So as mentioned previously, service academies require service obligation. We are tuition free. However, this is kind of your payback for that. And we call on you to serve for your country as a result. So the Coast Guard Academy does require you to serve 5 years after your time at the academy itself. So that's why it's important for you to understand our service as a whole. But with that being said, the Coast Guard Academy itself, its mission is to develop leaders of character who embody our core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty. And that's our heart and soul here. Corps of Cadets, a little under 1,100 enrolled. So you heard about the Air Force Academy. They had about a little over 1,100 for just one class. We only have a little over 1,100 for our entire Corps of Cadets. So the entire student body here at the Academy. You are going to know everyone. We are a family, you're interconnected. And when you go out into the fleet, you're going to have someone all over the world that you know. We represent all 50 states as well as 20 nations, 40% female, 35% minority. I have a couple stats there in terms of, average high school GPA, SATs, things of that nature. We are big on athletics, but that being said, if that doesn't look like you, not an issue. We do a holistic application review. We're taking into account everything that makes you you. We are highly selective with a 10 to 12% acceptance rate, but this is why us admissions officers are here. We're here to help you make up a competitive application and give you the tools you need to be a competitive applicant. You do receive medical benefits, 100% job placement. I mentioned that humanitarian mission. If you want to fly, you heard from the Air Force Academy. They are a fantastic candidate for you if you want to fly. However, I will say the Coast Guard also has a number of operational pilots, and we have fantastic flight programs as well. So if you want to be flying that helo or flying a fixed-winged plane in support of search and rescue, pulling people out of the water, the Coast Guard's a fabulous place to do it. We do have postgraduate opportunities as well, and no congressional nominations. So I know you're hearing a lot about congressional nominations in the beginning. They are extremely important for the 4 other service academies. However, the Coast Guard does not require them. So for us, we just want to focus on your application coming here to apply. Last thing I'll point out here, 85% graduate retention rate. This is one of my favorite numbers. And the reason is 85% of our cadets who commission as an officer and serve their 5 years are going to opt to stay in the Coast Guard past that 5 years. So 85% of Academy graduates are opting to stay in the Coast Guard for longer than their service obligation, which is a huge testament to our service as a whole. 3 pillars, we kind of touched on this a little bit: academics, athletics, and military. This is what we're, setting you up for success for. And think of leadership being woven all throughout the 3. You have a lot of leadership and professional development during your time here at the Academy. It's built into your curriculum. We also have regimental systems where cadets lead cadets. You're constantly training one another. It's watch, learn, do, right? It's watch, learn, teach. So you're watching it, you're learning it, and then you're teaching it yourself. And we have a number of summer training programs to get you integrated into the fleet, as well as exchange programs. 9 academic majors, 5 of them are engineering majors, mainly STEM heavy here. Our newest is cyber systems. So if you like cyber, we do have one ourselves. And then we do have management and government, all result in a Bachelor of Science. We have a number of varsity athletes that like to come to the Coast Guard Academy for our athletic programs as well. We are primarily a D3 school, with the exception of sailing, rifle, and pistol that are D1. If you are a varsity athlete and you're looking to play a sport here at the Academy, I highly recommend you reach out to the coaches, begin that conversation early on. But athletics aren't everything. We have over 50 cadet clubs and activities here at the Academy to choose from. And if you don't see something, you can start something. Our music programs, we talked about performing arts earlier, are also huge here at the Academy. And we do recruit for band in those music programs as well. So not only do we recruit for athletics, we recruit for music too. And you can reach out to our music director to do that. Summer training programs. Every summer you're involved in an immersion program to further develop on your skill sets as someone who is learning how to go into the fleet as a Coast Guard officer, and someone who's working on their leadership skills, their navigation skills. You're really honing in on it all. So we put you into the fleet to actually experience it. We put you in leadership roles to lead other cadets. And then, of course, I have to point her out. Beautiful Coast Guard Bark Eagle pictured below. She's America's tall ship. That is a 295-foot ship that operates primarily by sail. If you like Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm telling you now, you get to heave and hoe on board Eagle. You get to climb those masts. You get to jump off the side of her into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. and you get to go to numbers of port calls from Europe to the Caribbean and everywhere in between. But the application, this is our bread and butter here. We are 100% online through our website. We do require letters of recommendation. It's going to be math, English, guidance counselor. Those are your three. Math can be any STEM instructor that can write to your mathematical abilities. English can be any humanities instructor that can write to your writing abilities. And we do require a guidance counselor. They will submit the official high school transcript on your behalf. There are SAT or ACT scores required. Now, you heard about the CFA earlier with in the previous presentation. Coast Guard, another difference. So no congressional nomination, and then we have what's called the PFE. It's a little bit different from the CFA. It's a 1.5 mile run, cadence push-ups, and timed sit-ups. Personal statements, you'll have those to fill out. Self-motivated, anything that's optional on our application, hear me through. Complete the optional items. They show self-motivation. They show that you want to take the time to share all the fabulous things that you are. Include a resume too. Nothing is better than, being able to connect everything together with a resume. 17 to 22 years of age to apply, no dependents. And then once again, I mentioned those music and athletic potential reviews do get looked at. Important dates. So note, these are going to change for the next in the next few months. This was for the previous application cycle, but we have two applicant pools, early action and regular admission. Early action is that early applicant pool. So if you want to get your application in and you want to have your decision sooner, early action is for you. These dates generally don't change. It will be about October 15th for that submission to be completed by, and then you'll hear a decision around December 24th. And so our application opens late July, early August. So you have a couple months there, or you have regular admission, totally okay to apply here too. The application deadline is generally January 15th. We bumped it for COVID a little bit, and then you hear by April 1st. So all of our applicants who applied this cycle will hear by tomorrow. And then you owe us the enrollment deadline May 1st, and then you report end of June for your swab summer, which is that first 8 weeks here at the Academy. Alrighty, that's all I have to share today. I know it's a lot of information to throw at you. However, if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. If you go to our website, you can find Lieutenant Junior Grade Jacob Brown, who was supposed to be your representative here tonight, as well as Lieutenant Brittany Martineau. They're awesome resources in addition to myself. So please feel free to go ahead, look out, and connect with us.
Thank you so much for all of that information. That's great information to know. And again, we're going to get a little bit more with our Q&A. So I'm going to share and talk a little bit more about a couple of the academies that are not represented here today, but I just wanted to share some information in regards to them. So when you actually log on and get access to our PowerPoint, you will be able to see other videos that are embedded in this presentation. And so you will be able to get more information regarding the different academies. So I'm going to move over to our U.S. Merchant Marine and just speak briefly about the U.S. Merchant Marine. Our contact in our area is Lieutenant Ryan McCann. So Lieutenant Ryan McCann would be our representative for the U.S. Merchant Marine, which is located in Kings Point, New York. And you can see this beautiful area here. And I'm just going to play a brief video for all of you to see.
The academics at the United States Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York are as hard-hitting as the players on the gridiron. When you enter Kings Point, you must be as committed to excelling in the engineering curriculum as to scoring touchdowns. And freshman Joshua Cade, a football player since age 8 and a math and science geek, will tell you that knowing what you want to do upon graduation is not a requirement.
I didn't necessarily have a distinct plan on what I wanted to do in life, and came across the USMMA pamphlet and looked more into it, and I'm really glad that I did because it has everything that I would have wanted.
After graduating, Kings Pointers earn more initially than their other service academy peers. They can be commissioned officers in any branch of the military or become leaders in the civilian maritime industry.
To come to the USMMA, it's so concentrated in marine engineering and marine transportation. If that's something you're even slightly interested in, it'd give you the advantage in any work field and any workplace. People look for King's Pointers 100%. The programs here are great. Not only is it challenging, but it's actually applicable to life. I know that when we go out on our sea year that I'll actually be learning how to tie knots and figuring stuff out in the engine room that we're doing in class every day.
Academics, the regiment, athletics, and your sea year. Apply today.
So that's just a little bit about the U.S. Merchant Marine. When you have access to our PowerPoint, you will also be able to get more information. And I'm going to go ahead and for our United States Naval Academy, our representative is Lieutenant Kim Yetchen, and the U.S. Naval Academy is also located in Annapolis, Maryland. It is a beautiful area to also see. There is a video here that can tell you about Sail Week, which is a really neat week over at the Naval Academy, and it does have some of the top ranked academics, and also has varsity sports as many as of the other academies here. And just like the other academies have promoted before, it does have a 90% graduation rate. And so when you're looking for a college or university or post-secondary education, you want to be able to not only graduate, but also have a steady career, and the academies can provide that opportunity for you. And I'm going to move on. On this slide deck, you will also see a Naval Academy brief session of the application process for the U.S. Naval Academy. And so this is a little bit extensive, a little bit more detail for you. And for the West Point Academy, the West Point Academy is located in West Point, New York. Our contact is Lieutenant Brittany Johnson. And so their contact information is here down below. So you will have access to their email to go ahead and find out a little bit more information about West Point. And I'm going to play a brief video for you in regards to West Point. So that's a little bit of information in regards to West Point. And just want to reiterate the summer seminar opportunities. For those of you who are younger, maybe you're in middle school right now and you're thinking about different opportunities after high school. Maybe you've never heard of the military academies. You can start thinking about, what can I do for the summer of my junior year? For those 9th and 10th graders that we have, these are opportunities that you can take, that you can do as an 11th grader. So going, in 11th grade, going into your senior year for summer, you can attend these summer seminar opportunities. A lot of these summer seminar opportunities right now are online. So it's even because of distance learning, you have the access to it, but they are also available in person. So when you get an opportunity, you can click on the links and find out more information about these summer seminar opportunities. And last but not least, there are other resources that are available. They're available either through YouTube or available through other platforms, but you have actual service members who are telling you how you can get into the academies, giving you tips and hints. It is a very extensive process. It is very detailed. So you want to make sure that you complete the detailed information and complete all that optional information as much as possible. So with that said, I definitely want to turn it over to our representatives for some Q&A that's been being asked because there's some questions that people have. And so first I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Severn in regards to, a student wanted to know, like, how do I increase my chances in getting into a military academy?
Awesome question. So that's a question we get a lot as admissions advisors. What can I do to increase my chances? Like, being blunt, there is no magic formula to get into any of the service academies. And so you hit it right on the head. We are looking for that well-rounded student who takes the hardest courses and excels in them, who is involved in their communities, who are involved in clubs, organizations that they are interested in. One thing when I talk about clubs and organizations, one thing I want to specify with that is when you apply to the academies, or specifically the Air Force Academy, we are looking for depth rather than width. So what do I mean by that? We would much rather see an applicant who is involved in a handful of clubs that they are extremely passionate about, that they've been involved with for years. They got to help the program. They got to get into leadership positions, because that allows us to gauge your leadership style, how you handle situations, rather than just saying, oh, I'm involved in 20 different clubs, but I only show up for the monthly meeting to get my free slice of pizza, then I go home. That really doesn't demonstrate the type of leader we are looking for. Being part of sports as well. And finally is that character piece. Character is a huge component for all of the service academies. Just like Coast Guard, the mission of the Air Force Academy is to create leaders of character. So don't do anything to compromise that. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. Those are choices you make. So don't do anything to compromise your character, because if we find out, you are not who you say you are, or you lie, steal, or cheat, that is going to significantly hurt your chances. So don't do anything to degrade your character. And that's the best advice I can honestly give to all future applicants is take the hardest courses, be a good person, get involved, and have that persistence.
Thank you for that. So Lieutenant Torsney, the question that we have for you is, was it worth it? Was your experience worth it? Because you had talked about how this could be potentially a free education, right? But there is a commitment. So for you, has it been worth it?
Oh, without a doubt, absolutely. So one thing that you come out of the service academies with, and I will open it up for all the service academies there because it's true, although I am biased to the Coast Guard, but you're going to form this network of individuals who are going to be there throughout your entire career, most likely. So not only are you there forming bonds with them for the 4 years at the academy, but you're going on, and it's very rare. And as someone who, like I said, I didn't graduate from the academy, I did a different program. And so as someone who went to a public university, and I have friends who kind of went into a realm of different jobs and career opportunities and different paths, my Coast Guard Academy friends who I'm really close to, I'm married to a Coast Guard Academy grad now, which is very funny. But they have this network that's like no other. And it's very rare that you're going to have friendships where they're doing the exact same job or very similar jobs to you, and they understand what you're going through. And when you're having a moment where you're trying to problem solve and critical think and being those heavy leadership roles, you can call on someone and say, hey, how'd you do this? What can you recommend? You have mentors who, the Coast Guard is such a small service that you get to call on them. So it's one of those things where it's absolutely worth it, because not only as, I bet Lieutenant Severn can speak to it too. We're pretty young. You can tell from our faces, we're younger. I'm only 24, and I can pay for everything I own. All my health benefits are covered. I can travel. I get 30 days paid vacation every year. there's a lot of perks that, you know, that's not the reason I joined. The reason I joined is because I love my country and I love my service and I love the mission. But there are things that I get to do because of my service. You know, they pay you back well. They're going to set you up for success. And once again, as a 24-year-old, any 24-year-olds get to have command positions and get to be in charge of divisions of people. So there's checks and balances with everything. You're going to have days where you wish you could throw in the towel, believe me, but you have to remember the friendships and bonds you form along the way and kind of those other benefits you get, you know, they help make up for it.
Thank you for that. Lieutenant Severin, I have two questions for you. First of all, how soon can I hear back regarding my application? And the second question is, what happens if I don't make it the first time?
Awesome question. So usually around the springtime is when the Air Force Academy will start letting our applicants know, you know, congratulations, you've made it, or unfortunately you weren't selected. So that's usually around March to about May is when the vast majority of our applicants will find out what their status is. And if you don't make it the first time, that is completely okay. We encourage, you know, if this is something you really, really want to do, if you want to go to any of the service academies, become that commission officer and be responsible for, you know, America's greatest asset, its warriors, then, you know, try again. That is okay. And we see that in admissions. I've had friends who said, you know, it took me 2 to 3 times before I got accepted. And, you know, then it begs the question, well, what did they do differently? There is no right path on how you handle, you know, that failure. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a failure, but, you know, this is something you want to do, a setback. But I've had friends say, you know, I got my rejection letter. I enrolled in a community college and improved my academics because I needed to really improve that. Or I enrolled in ROTC for a year to get that military training underneath me so that way I can figure that out. Or, you know, I went out and expanded my horizons and did a trade or something to that nature where they are showing that consistent self-improvement. Like, hey, you know, I didn't make it the first time. I tried again. I tried to make myself better. Here's where I started and here's where I am now. So if you don't make it the first time and this is something you really want to do, demonstrate that persistence and find ingenious solutions to really work on yourself. Because like I said, it goes back to that whole person concept that both or all service academies look at.
Thank you for that. Lieutenant Torsney, what's a normal day like for you?
Sure. Are we asking at the academy or as an officer?
The academy, or is it, yes, like what's a normal day like for someone who's in the academy?
Sure. So the academy from 6 a.m. to 10, 11 p.m., you're going, you're busy. So you're going to wake up, you're kind of jump off the day with, it's going to be a military formation for accountability purposes. And then you're going to roll into breakfast. So you'll get up, you'll kind of get everything together, go to breakfast. We do feed you all 3 meals at the academy. And so then you're going to have morning classes after breakfast, and then you're going to go roll into lunch. And then there's going to be afternoon classes. And then you're going to have military training period where you're going to be working on those drills and ceremonies, the classic marching and formation, things of that nature, properly saluting, going to kind of get the groundwork in terms of the military service itself. And then there's also going to be time for athletics and extracurricular activities. Then we also build in time for a study hour. So you're going to have dedicated time in your evening for study purposes. Once again, meeting with other cadets and things of that nature to go over projects. And then lights out is at 10 p.m. However, you can go ahead and, extend your night if you want a little bit later. I will say I know a lot of engineering majors who they do not go to bed at 10 p.m. So get ready. There are going to be some long nights in there, but you're doing it with, once again, some fabulous friends that you're making along the way. And then you get up and get to start it all over again. I will say your time is really scheduled for you, especially that 4th class or freshman year. And that's for a reason. It's to ensure success. We're asking a lot of you. We're asking you to do well in your academics, play a sport if you can. You want to get that athletic credit in. Don't forget to get involved in something else, though, because it's good to be diverse, find another passion and, make friends and eat and sleep while you're doing it. So there's a lot being thrown at you, but we're setting you up for success. And by the time you're in your 1st class or senior year, you're going to wake up and go, wow, you're doing it all on your own. You're following the motions, and you're going to realize you have the opportunity for free time and you don't want to have free time. You know, you're really building in your schedule because you want to take on those opportunities.
Thank you. And our last two questions to this is for Lieutenant Severin is one is, how can I practice for my interview questions? And last but not least, I know I still get this question, how much does it cost?
Awesome question. So I'll start with the latter of those two questions. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lieutenant Torsney, but I know for the Air Force Academy, our application is completely free, so you will not pay for application fees. Awesome. So that is there. And then when you show up to the Academy, you will not pay for anything. For all 5 years there, I did not see a single room bill. I did not see a single electric bill, water bill. I did not see a single food bill, which was really helpful because at the Air Force Academy, dinner is buffet style. So eat as much as you want, because guess what? You're never going to see a bill for it. And tuition is free. And then, you know, you have what also another benefit is you're also earning a paycheck as a cadet. So congratulations, you are one of the highest paid college students in the nation, because I can't really think of many college students who are getting paid to go to school. So that was an awesome experience. And then what was the former question, sir? Oh, interviews.
How can I practice for my interview questions?
Excellent. So the biggest tip I always give my applicants when they ask, you know, interviews, be completely honest is the first tip I can say. Don't think that the interviewer is looking for a specific answer. They're like, are they going to say a buzzword? Or are they going to say a keyword that I'm looking for? They are not doing that. They are just evaluating who you are. So demonstrate you. So don't be afraid to say, you know, I wasn't thinking about the service academies until my sophomore year in high school. If that is your story, own it. You know, don't think I need to say, I've been thinking about the service academy since I was 5 years old. Because the moment you start lying, you are demonstrating a failure of your character. And I promise you, the officers who conduct these interviews have been doing it for years. So they will be able to sniff it out like, okay, is this student really lying to me? Because then they're going to note that and continue to probe and ask those questions. But if you're just honest and say, hey, this is my story, this is why I want to go, that demonstrates that character, and that creates a very fluid conversation between you and the your interviewer. Another pointer that says you can practice, I encourage for practice, is don't be afraid to say, I have a couple seconds to think about that question, or say, hey, sir, ma'am, that was a great question. Can I have a couple seconds to think about that? They would much rather see you articulate a solid answer than flying by the seat of your pants trying to make up something. So practice good interviewing posture, you know, sit straight up, look them in the eye, be respectful, say, sir, ma'am, and, you know, just relax, because they want to know about you, and you know you better than anybody else in the world.
Wow, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to our panelists for being here. Just this wealth of information that has been passed on to our parents and our families and our students. So thank you so much for being here, Lieutenant Torsney and Lieutenant Severin. We really appreciate your time. And with that said, I just want to tell everybody who's been here tonight or who may be watching later that here in Stockton Unified, we have a mission to have our students be college, career, and community ready. We want our students to be active participants in our community. So if you ever need anything, please reach out to your fellow school counselors at your sites. They'll be more than happy to help you. You can also reach out to myself. But thank you again for being here with us, and we really appreciate you. Have a good rest of your evening.